A close look at the treatment of the peasants in the House of Dragon. Here's an expanded version of the paragraph. In the world of Westeros, the peasantry suffers from systemic neglect, crippling poverty, and brutal suppression. The feudal lords, including the esteemed House Targaryen, treat the common folk with disdain and disregard. This is evident in the way King Viserys often disregards the needs and struggles of the people, instead prioritizing his own power and interests. For example, when the small folk of King's Landing struggle to survive in the midst of a severe economic downturn, Viserys shows little concern, even going so far as to raise taxes and increase burdens on the poor, further exacerbating their hardships. Furthermore, the lack of social mobility and opportunities for advancement in Westeros means that the peasantry is trapped in a cycle of poverty and exploitation. The feudal system, where lords hold sway over the land and the people who work it, creates a rigid social hierarchy that leaves the common folk vulnerable to abuse and neglect. The Targaryens' own treatment of their vassals, often considering them little more than subjects to be used as pawns in their grand game of power, demonstrates a profound disregard for the well-being and dignity of the common folk. Even the show's protagonist, Daenerys Targaryen, who is often presented as a champion of the oppressed, has a complex relationship with the peasantry, exemplifying the tension between those who claim to represent the interests of the people and those who truly embody the values of the ruling class. This dichotomy is a central theme in the world of Westeros, and one that highlights the dark legacy of the Targaryen dynasty and the societal ills that plague the Seven Kingdoms. Here's an expanded version of the paragraph with more details and examples. During the struggle for the Iron Throne, the Targaryens, especially King Viserys and Princess Rhaenyra, exemplify a callous disregard for the well-being of the peasantry. This is evident in the way they prioritize their own ambitions and power struggles over the needs and basic human dignity of the people they swear to protect. For instance, King Viserys' decision to sell his children into marriage to secure alliances and gain power leads to the mistreatment of many innocent women, including Rhaenyra's young daughters, Baela and Rhaena. These girls are forced to marry much older men, often for no consensual reason, and are treated as mere pawns in the game of Thryns, rather than as individuals with their own agency and autonomy. Furthermore, the Targaryens show a similar lack of concern for the welfare of the common people in their pursuit of power. In Westeros, peasants live largely in squalor and poverty, with little access to health care, education, or economic opportunities. However, instead of implementing policies that would improve the lives of their subjects, the Targaryens often use levies and taxes to further enrich themselves and their supporters, leaving the common folk to struggle and suffer. For example, King Viserys' decision to impose a series of crushing taxes on the people of Dragonstone in the aftermath of the Great War leads to widespread poverty and famine, causing immense suffering for the civilian population. This is a stark contrast to the more compassionate and just rulers of previous times, such as King Jaehaerys the Wise, who implemented policies to improve the lives of his people and strengthen the bonds between the ruling class and the common folk. In addition, the Targaryens' treatment of the peasantry is also marked by a complete disregard for their basic human dignity. As the struggle for the Iron Throne intensifies, they are willing to engage in actions that are morally reprehensible, such as the forced disappearance and imprisonment of those who stand in their way. The infamous sack of King's Landing during the war between King Viserys and the rebel lord, Daemon Targaryen, is a prime example of this. In the aftermath of the battle, the city is left in ruins, with thousands of innocent civilians killed or displaced. The brutal treatment of the people of King's Landing serves as a stark reminder of the Targaryens' callous disregard for the lives and well-being of the common people they are supposed to protect.